Ciao Ghizza, ti vedo. Fra poco ti avremo. Okey. Georg bizimle. Birazdan alacağız onu yayına. Ben biraz Georg'un biyografisinden başlayayım. Georg günümüzün en büyük verdi baritonlarından ve bel canto baritonlarından biri. Deutsche Oper Berlin, Münih, Semperoper, La Scala, Teatro dell'Opera di Roma, New York Metropolitan, Viyana gibi büyük tiyatrolarda verdi ve bel canto rolleri söylüyor. Riccardo Muti, Riccardo Chailly, Nello Santi, Fabio Luis gibi büyük direktörlerle sahneye çıkıyor sürekli. Şimdi alalım kendisini buraya. Bakalım. Hey.
Hello.
Hello, Georg. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. You know, at home.
Thanks for joining us. I just talked about you in Turkish a little bit. You know, your fans waited 10 minutes, and I told them about you a little. So how are you? How is this COVID period going so far for you?
I think it's like for everyone. No, I mean, it's strange. It's something that we never lived before. Even if, you know, I am actually, when I was a child, I used to live in communism in Romania. So that was also an interesting period for my life. But now with this COVID, it's something that no one expected. So, you know, since 3 months or something, I'm at home with my friend Yoda and my wife, you know. See?
Hey.
He's saying hello to you. I'm just joking.
Ciao, Yoda.
Yeah,
No,
you know, I'm actually
I'm quite prepared, you know, for you.
I know, I see. Me too. I don't know if you see this, but I'm also very prepared. See the two sons.
Wonderful. I'm going to have some questions about your Star Wars fandom,
right.
you know. Okay.
Right.
So have you been singing nowadays?
Not much. I sang just a bit like last few days just for me, but no, not really, because I actually wanted to also break, and this because since the last 5 years I've never had a break. No, not even for like 5 days.
Yeah, you
So
travel
I work
a lot.
all the time. Yes, I traveled a lot, and in the summer I always had to study a new role. When I had 2 weeks free, so I went to my maestro Zancanaro, and you know, I was working all the time. So I went from a contract to the other. Like also sometimes the contract would go one on the other, and it was a difficult 5 years, but of course very enjoyable because doing our job, it's
amazing.
really special. Yes. I mean, we have a special life, you know it. I mean, no, and we are here because of it. So
we are really fortunate. A lot of colors, a lot of beauty, a lot of music. You know, your contracts in Verona and Berlin and Florence, they're all canceled. What's the next contract for you?
Normally, I see that Madrid now started to work, and normally I should go to Madrid in September to sing Ballo in Maschera. And then I have also in Zurich some contract, and in Traviata and La Liceo in December, and you know, Berlin canceled something, and I have other discussions for that period that Berlin canceled. So I was supposed to sing Simon Boccanegra in Berlin in October, and I think they canceled October or November, I don't remember. And now I have in discussion for something else. You know, I mean, let's hope that we go back to something normal, you know, because, you know.
It's happening slowly.
And of
course,
my
really
next
slowly.
years are occupied, but I have to sing in La Scala, in Berlin many times, in Vienna, you know.
Great.
Munich.
Let me go to your university years. Can we go there a little bit? Can you talk about all this beginning, all this education years? Because you are a wonderful technician, and you are also a great taste in phrasing and elegance. You know, you started with bel canto roles, like Riccardo, Figaro, then you moved on to this Verdi line, but you keep always the bel canto repertoire inside, you know.
Yes.
So
I do receive some messages. Are they important? I see that Turkey Opera is sending me a message. Do I need to see them? Just to clarify.
I think it can be Burak Bilgili, our colleague, who is the founder of this wonderful forum.
Yes.
So I don't know, can everybody hear us really clearly? Maybe there is a technical problem, but I don't think so because I hear you really well.
Yeah, I hear you also very good.
Görebiliyor musunuz acaba? Duyabiliyor musunuz beni? Bizi? Okay. Okay.
Look, our friend tenor Javier Camarena is online.
Javier Camarena is here.
Amazing.
We say
Javier
hi
Camarena.
to him. Okay, everybody's hearing us, so let's move on.
Well,
Okay.
you know, I started singing because of my brother. I have a brother that his name is Agaki Alexandru, and actually he did one of the most amazing Bariton careers from Romania, and he sang just to tell you something, he sang about 13 production in Covent Garden, and there is a Simon Bocca Negra with him, conducted by Scholti, by Sir Georg Scholti. He did the premiere of the production that still plays in Covent Garden. So, and other things like Otello with Jose Cura. And so he, when I was a child, like 5, 6 years old, or even 4 years old, my brother used to sing with me at home. And he was always studying Carmina Burana or Barbiere di Siviglia or something. So this is how I started to enjoy music. And my father brought a pickup, and then we listened to some amazing. Well, we didn't have many discs, but we did listen to Mozart piano concert and whatever we could, you know.
Because
and then,
you started with piano and
yes,
trombone.
I started. We have this really great luck in Romania that we have national music schools. Like almost every city has a national music school, and before you go there, you also get tested. Like you do 12 years of normal school, but in the same time you also learn lots of music. I mean, if you honestly ask me, I think if you do the music school in Romania, you don't need to do any academy because you learn everything there. You learn music theory, you know composition, you learn contrapunct, you know all harmony.
But you did afterwards.
Well, yes, because you go to the academy anyway. So, I mean, if you want to go to higher studies, but the music school is really amazing. I mean, you don't need anything more than that, honestly. And we have great teachers. And normally, kids they don't go in the music school unless they are tested and they have talent. So it's a cool thing, you know. So that's how I started. Studying 6 years of piano and 7 years trombone. I actually did the 9th class 2 times. I was a bit. Not a bad boy, but I didn't go to the school because I used to play basketball all the time.
You took it slow.
Yeah, I took it slow in the 9th class. It was a bit funny. But, you know, I was a good boy always, so it's not really that I don't.
So when did you know that you wanted to sing and leave piano and trombone?
When I was like 16 years old, actually, well, my trombone teacher used to be an opera director also.
Okay.
So when we were studying with him trombone, he used to take us to the opera house. But also, that was not the beginning. The beginning was that my brother was singing in our opera, national opera in my town, and I didn't miss any shows of him. So I really loved opera and I loved classical music as a child. But he used to take the teacher, our trombone teacher, used to take us to the opera house, and that's how I really started to love opera again. And then I started to sing with my voice. When I was 16 years old, I started to scream and sing and everything, you know. And my colleagues in the school would say, "Shut up all the time." I was always like "Al pari di poi," you know, everywhere in the school class, in the pausa and everything. So it was really fun. That's when I started, and of course, then at the academy I go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. But what did you focus on when you were, you know, in the conservatory with your first teacher?
That's the thing. I actually focused a lot on vocal technique. And I focused a lot of, we have opera classes. That means that you have to go, you have like, I don't know how many hours, 4 or 6 in a week, something like that, when you have to actually do some roles, prepare some roles, and you do, it's not really for the opera house, but it's for the students to do parts from an opera or parts from another opera. And
so it's experience for them.
Yeah, experience, stage experience, and that's very important because you don't get it after you finished. You have to be prepared, and you know it's never enough. And I used to do everything I could because some of my colleagues were not there, so I got to sing Don Giovanni when I was in academy. I got to sing Figaro in Barbiere di Siviglia, Fiorello.
It was your debut, right? Don Giovanni was your debut.
Yeah, when I was 21 years old.
21, my God.
So, and it was in the third year, and actually with the opera of Timișoara, we went in a tournament in Terni. How do you say? Tournament.
A tour?
A tour, yes, in a tour where we sang 6 Don Giovannis in 9 days. So I started strong, you know.
Amazing.
But yeah, and I even sang, you know, as a tenor and as a bass. I sang La Serva Padrona. I sang L'Infedeltà delusa from Haydn, and I sang the quartet.
No wonder that you had amazing top roles, you know.
Well, but it was, I didn't sing all the notes because I actually couldn't. I mean, I could it once, but I couldn't do it like 2 or 3 times in a row. For once I could do it. That's the thing of almost any baritone, like Cheryl Mills would have a high C, and Thomas Sampson has a high C, and many singers have high Cs. Many baritones have very high, like, I don't know if you know Ko Seung Ho, one of the most amazing baritone voice, a Korean baritone.
Okay.
A huge voice, beautiful. And he used to sing high H natural. We sang, one of the most beautiful things I've ever done in my life was to sing a Pagliacci, where I was Silvio in Liège, and it was with Vladimir Galuzin.
Oh,
as a tenor, and it was and this baritone, Korean baritone Ko. And there were 2 monster voices. I was like, every day I was like, oh my God, you know, and we became friends, and I could see that actually Ko, with a voice like Bastianini, but huge, you know, like lots of sound, lots of metal in the voice, he could go to high H natural. So that was also one moment, and I said, you should always try the limits of your voice and even go further than the limits of the voice, you know.
You always try. I remember after your Rigoletto in Dresden, we went to the restaurant, and I went to the piano, and you sang the last note of La Donna è mobile.
Yeah, we had
better than all of us tenors, you know.
No, it's not true.
It was huge.
My C double is good, but yeah.
Yeah. We heard it in Attila. I'm going to come there and ask you some questions about your, you know, your Scala. It's your debut, you know. Wonderful. So in the university years, you told me that you know, did a lot of technique and you focused on technique. What was the foundation of your technique? I'm asking this especially for the young students who are going to watch you after this, because we put this video online.
Yes.
And it will stay if it's okay for you.
Yes.
And please also tell your friends to follow the page. So I'm sure that you have young fans who are in love with your singing, so they can come and see the video while they study, you know. It must be an inspiration. So what was the foundation of your first years in the conservatory? Like breathing, or is it about the positioning of the voice?
You know, already breathing I learned when I played trombone, because and also from making sport, because I really played a lot of basketball, so breathing was never a problem. But the foundation of my techniques are like 5 things important for me in technique, and actually I used to learn them from I learned the base of this with one of my best friends, and he's also a teacher in Romania. His name is Marius Glad. And he's one of the best teachers I've ever met. He's really good in this, a guy that really read lots of technical books. You know, there are many books about technical
Garcia, Lamperti,
whatever, yes, doesn't matter. But I learned from him, and well, I think at least there are 5 things very important in the vocal technique that most of the people don't talk about, all of them. Of course, breathing, chest voice, that you can say it exists or you can say it doesn't exist, but there is a feeling. Then opening the throat really on each vocal that you sing, like don't change the vocal vowels, never, you know, open the throat on each vowel that you sing. I always try to be as natural as possible when I sing the vowels. That's why I maybe sing a bit too open, but most of the times you can understand everything I sing. So that's a very important thing. I think a lot, my teacher, Zancanaro, is always telling me, la pronuncia è metà canto, you know? So like, it's very important.
Halfway to singing. Yeah.
This includes a lot of things. It's not only to be understand, but also the accents or the meaning of the words or the phrase, or, you know, phrasing also goes in it. Then, let's say this, I don't know how to put it, impostare la voce, or put the voice in the mask, which it's just about to find the best position, like the position you have it in the mask, to it's to have all the harmonics the voice have. Like,
okay.
you know, if I ask many of my colleagues, why do you put the voice in the mask? Most of them don't know why you do it. They say because it sounds better and everything. Yeah, that's the result of it. But actually, putting the voice in the mask is closing the chords perfectly.
Okay.
I mean, when you do an E, A, A, you know, it's you feel like the vocal cords are really closed. And you should always sing on the vocal cords closed, because it's like that's the without pressing on them. I mean, you can press. There are singers that are pressing so much and they resist with it that who am I to say don't press? Who am I to say don't press? You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I would never press, because I think bel canto, it means to sing beautiful. So I always try to make the most beautiful sound I can. But that means to be round, full of harmonics, you know, shining, all of that. So this is the fourth thing, like keeping the voice high in the posizione alta, or putting in the mask.
What is your sensation when you,
the sensation
on stage,
is like,
especially?
It's very simple. Oh, on stage you don't hear your voice. On stage you don't hear your voice most of the
time.
Is
it feeling?
Is it feeling? I already, you know, there's already so much ears in my back that I don't really need to think a lot about it. I just, it depends if I have a bad day or if I have a very good day. It depends. It all goes on with those things. Okay. But most of the time I really don't think. I know when I have to cover, when I don't have to cover, how I do, how I like each sound. You know, there's a very interesting material if you want to see. When Pavarotti, I think, was studying Rigoletto e il Sol dell'Anima. La vita l'amore, okay, and there he goes on fa naturale, fa diez, sol diez, passaggio, and he was talking about how much he trained each sound to be closer to perfection. Okay. So this is our job, you know. When you study, is also when I you know, I do la 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 la. Where I cover, if I cover, if I don't cover, if I prefer that or not. I mean, also I'm a natural voice, so I don't really need to extra cover or to open, or, you know, they're all things I can choose from.
Was it like this also in the beginning, in the conservatory?
No. I didn't know so much about technique, you know. It's you learn about the technique in all your life, and also now I'm looking forward to learn more than I know, you know. Yeah. So, you know, I even and the fifth thing that was very important to me always is the vibrato. And almost nobody talks about the vibrato in the voice, you know. Because for me, vibrato, it's also like if you listen to a violin playing, the most expressive way a violin can be, because at the end, the music, when we sing, we want to express something. We have sadness or happiness or whatever we want to express. Let's put it in sadness and happiness. Yeah, don't go in more complex feelings. But if you want to be sad, you have to have it in your vibrato. You know, when you have to be happy, it's also the energy of your vibrato that
as an expression.
Yeah, as an expression.
As a quality.
And yes, if you listen to a violin player, that's always, if they do the most important way in which they can be touchy to the people listening to them is the vibrato, you know, the sound. Yeah. And of course, also the freeness of the voices is a bit in the vibrato. You know, like in the way you sustain the air, so the vibrato is free and controllable, and you know, it's a very important thing that almost nobody talks about it. You know. Okay. So.
And what did you do to?
This is the base.
How did you work with your vibrato?
Well, it's complicated because it depends. You know, everyone has another problem, or maybe no problem at all. There are people that sing very good from nature. You know, you can see them, and you should just let them sing. But I had friends that could not do a right vibrato. He would do like something like so you have to stop them and
like
try to create the normal vibrato. Yes, like you know, like really.
And what would you advise to a singer with a caprino?
The thing is, you have to feel it first. So when you feel, when you try to feel the vibrato, is about doing a sound without vibrato, and then you try to make the smallest vibrato possible, and then sustain that and try to control its speed. I know this is a bit exaggerated what I'm talking about now, but
no. It's really interesting for the students to listen to this. You know, it's really important for them.
When I did my first Rigoletto, my vibrato got a bit wider. You know, so that's the moment when I started to think about coming back, going to a smaller vibrato, going to the you know, to be Because if you start wobble or if you start making too big vibrato, then it's the moment that you go to the other side when you finish your career, you know.
To the dark side.
You don't want to do that. Yes, to the dark side. Yes. We want to stay on the light side.
This is the way.
This is the way. Yes. Well, I don't have something like that, but I have something similar.
It's really interesting. So what did you do at that period? You just controlled it. You wanted to go more.
The thing is, yeah, I do. When somebody doesn't feel the right vibrato, I try them to make like, you know, like you know, like make it small and then faster and then like that. But it's more complex. I mean, I can explain you exactly, but I think it takes a lot of time. I don't know if if you want to hear it. I mean,
I want to hear it. Let's do it.
So the technique that I use is. The problem is for somebody that has a problem with the vibrato is to do even o sono stretto, like you know, like no vibrato in it. And the moment you want to create a bit of vibrato, first you have to start from no vibrato, and then you do you know. That's
like a trillo in the beginning.
Yeah, like a trillo. Yeah. You go to you have to let it free. You have to feel it and then to let it free. You know what I mean? To feel the right vibrato and then to leave it free. And that's the freeness of the voice. And when you, if you ask me what's a stecca, you know, how do you call it in English?
Crack.
A crack. A crack is the
when the voice cracks.
Del vibrato nella voce for me, you know, like when you have no vibrato on the voice, then that means you crack. You go like and then you don't have.
It means that you have no freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
You mean. Yeah.
And no elasticity. Elasticity is very important in singing. You see it almost. I mean, all the best singers like Javier, which is watching, or Juan Diego, or whatever. It doesn't matter. They all have this amazing free voice. You hear that they can do this amazing coloratura.
It's moving all the time.
It's moving all the time. The energy of the sound. And that's what you have to do.
Okay. And what does sulfiato mean to you?
Well, that's
the
what
term
it means
sulfiato.
It's exactly this for me, what it means. Because, I mean, I'm sure that I don't like it when you block the sound. I don't like when you you go in the chest and then you do this. I don't like that because that in time goes to the wobbling. I like it when you sustain the energy of the sound. That means for me, sulfiato, you know?
Sustain the energy of the sound.
Yeah, sustain the energy of the sound and the expression of it.
Okay. So can you please tell me, you sing a lot of bel canto and your figure is amazing, it's exemplary. and especially when I talk with my Bariton colleagues, you know, I love Bariton repertory. I always wanted to be one in the conservatory, but you know, it's too late.
Most of the time people want to be tenors, not baritons.
Yeah, but when you're a tenor, you stand, there's a wonderful melody, you just deliver the melody, but you are not necessarily in all the roles, you know, 60% of the standard repertoire. It's more based on the melody than acting and you know.
Yes.
You have Una furtiva lagrima, you have Una amorosa, you have, I don't know, but not true. Okay, of course it's not true. When you have Argirio in Tancredi, you have to recite a lot. Oh, okay, he says, we all want to be baritone.
I don't know, I think most of the baritons want to be tenors.
Okay.
I don't know, it's crazy, but might be so.
Okay, so let me ask you, when you go from this Figaro and Riccardo, you go to the Verdi roles. Do you think that in Verdi roles, you know, il peso della parola, porgere la frase, all this, you know, sometimes Italians say, they used to say for Maria del Monaco, this parole di bronzo, you know, the importance of the, maybe if not declamation, the delivery of the text.
Yeah, declamation, yes, of course. It is.
Yes, it's like, can you please talk about this a little? Because when I see you...
The thing is, I'm never make a difference. I don't think differently.
Okay.
If I sing Figaro or if I sing Macbeth. For me, of course, there are two different roles and totally different worlds, but the voice is one. And you should never try to do something different with your voice than what you do. You know, I mean, that you have a body in the voice, you have you know, the shyness, you have all the qualities of your voice, and you have to use them in both of the operas. It's a funny thing, because everyone thinks like Figaro, it's not a dramatic role, and of course it's not. But if you listen to if you listen the aria of Figaro, like that, the orchestra there is actually really loud. I mean, if you go and listen it how they play it in Vienna Staatsoper, or they play in these opera houses, they really play it with full orchestra, and actually you need voice. I mean, you can. There's no difference between singing that aria of Figaro or like Vendetta. There's no difference in that moment. You know, from the power. I mean, you have to use all your voice. You know, if you can see that also in Leonucci, he's exactly the same voice he uses in Figaro as he uses in Si Vendetta. You know.
Indeed, yes.
So that's why I don't think you should think different if you sing bel canto than if you sing Verdi, because in Verdi you also need, like in bel canto, to sing piano.
Of course.
Like most of the roles, that's one interesting role. You know, interesting thing. What you ask me. Like I sang Iago, and I'm very criticized about it because my voice is not dramatic. Of course, I'm not a dramatic baritone. That's 100% sure. I'm a Verdi baritone in the style of Nucci, or in the style of, I don't know, maybe Zancanaro a bit, and yeah, a lyrical baritone. But Iago, for example, has only 2 moments in the whole opera where the orchestra is loud. One is the credo, and the second one is the end of the act 3, I think, when he says, Kipo, I don't remember now, doesn't matter. I'm out of the stage, you know, I'm on vacation, so.
Okay,
yeah.
Which is great.
So there have 2 dramatical moments in the whole opera. The rest of it, and if you look in Shakespeare, Othello, it's so interesting that this role actually always is called, from everyone, Onesto Iago. Honest Iago. So actually, everyone has to believe that he's a very good guy. Then you have to act like that. If you don't act like that, you know, you have to trick them. And you can't, to trick the persons, you have to be kind with them, to some of them. Of course, you can see, and that's another a beautiful aspect of Iago, is how different it is with each character in the opera. Yes. Because he knows how to manipulate. With some friends in your life, you have to be stronger. With some others, you have to let away a bit from your power, you know. So and that is interesting to see Iago, how he actually suppresses his wife, you know, like he's oppressing his wife. He's really tough with her, and I don't even understand. I don't think he loves her. I think he's just using her, you know. Then he's the slave of Othello. He's afraid of Othello, and he's always like the most kindest person when Othello is around. So Othello can trust what he's saying, you know. And then with Roderigo also, he makes everything to earn his trust. So all of that, it's such an interesting world of, how you say, declamating the words or making colors or express it. And the same is with Macbeth, you know. Macbeth is one guy that comes from the battle. He won a battle. He's somebody that killed somebody on the field for sure. You know, he's a killer. He's not
yes.
A
he's not an innocent guy, you know.
And still, the moment he's doing his killing for a wrong motivation, he goes crazy. So all these colors are so interesting in all this opera. Like he's really obsessed by the thing he killed somebody that he shouldn't have. And actually, he becomes the weakest person in the whole opera because of it. Of course, he's somebody that will do it again. But in the same time, he's suffering all the time. You know?
Actually, we must tell to the public that today they can go to the Vienna Staatsoper website or the application and see your Macbeth. You told me once that it's one of your favorites, you know, as a performance, you know?
Yeah, it's a complex role. It's beautiful. And what I was saying is that exactly this is with Verdi. Most of the roles, like also Rigoletto, like 80% of the role, it happens, I don't want to say in piano, but in a much softer nuance should happen, because also in Rigoletto, there are 2-3 moments when he really goes out and he's like crazy. In Cortigiani, he goes crazy. In Vendetta, he has a bit of rage, and a small part of Parisiamo. But the rest, their love duets with the daughter, and the desperation at the end that his daughter is dying. So it's like 70% of the role is colors, you know? That's why I think you should try to sing it bel canto like this. When you get in the end of the opera, your voice is still fresh, and you can do the best to deliver your best performance you can. You should never go and do more declamation on the sound that what your voice allows you to.
You know, when we met, it was a Othello performance, and we didn't have a musical rehearsal. So I first encountered you in the rehearsal room, you know, and I was on the table, you know, and I was looking at you when you were doing this at the first scene, you know, before Brindisi, also during Brindisi, like all this equality and homogeneous sounds that you make. You never push. It's all bel cantissimo. You know, this is why I asked you also the other day. I saw that Rome was giving the Simon Boccanegra performance with Muti, and all the roles, especially with Amelia, where you are, you know, really paterno, let's say, when you, I could understand everything. There are a lot of accents, but they're never separati, you know, they are always flowing and moving, like you said before, like it must move all the time with vibration. So this is why I was curious. This is why I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, well, you know, it's, I think if we talk about bel canto, like what means bel canto? Because we have to start from there, you know. I studied trombone and piano.
Beautiful singing.
Exactly. What that means is that when you study an instrument, a pianist will always study his touche. The touching of the piano. So the sound, it's the most beautiful sound that it can get out. Because loud, everyone can play. And it sounds totally the same for everyone. But the secret is to sing the piano and the mezzo forte amazing, like the most beautiful sound you can create. And the trombone is the same, or the trumpet. Everyone tries to get to have the most beautiful sound they can create. This is the base of the music when you study it, and the base of the instrument.
Aesthetics.
But it's you know, it's very interesting because there is an Italian trombonist that used to be I think he still is the first trombonist in New York Philharmonic, and he has the most beautiful trombone sound from everyone.
Okay.
The sound is just a tiny bit bigger and rounder than any other sound you have ever heard, and you can explain it. How? Okay. You know, I don't remember his name now, but if I remember, I will tell it later, because you can go listen to him. Or Arturo Sandoval, the trumpet player in jazz. If you listen to his sound, he's unique. I mean, you can say this is Arturo Sandoval from 20 jazz trumpets. If you put it to me, I would say, yeah, that's Arturo Sandoval. There's something special about it, even more than from the others.
Yes.
And I'm not saying the others 20 are not amazing. But I mean, this is exactly what one should search in the opera. One should also search the voice. I mean, your ear tells you if you made the most beautiful sound possible. And also, of course, you need to sing loud to be louder than an orchestra. But for me, it was never so important because I think, if you ask me honestly, I think the orchestra has the role of sustaining you. Like when they do, and this is a tradition that is getting lost today, sadly.
Yes.
I mean, everyone tells now the voices are not so big as they used to be. The thing is, the conductors, some of them, they're not more interested in doing accompagnare, how do you call it? To
accompany.
To accompany the singer. I mean, if my piano, they should play under my piano, you know? And of course, I had amazing moments, like in Hamburg with the orchestra is amazing, and Munich and everywhere. And you can see that if I do a piano, they even go under my piano. And it was amazing moments that I did in Traviata in the second strophe of the Provenza, for example, in Hamburg, in Munich, and then they understand you and they still do it. You know, all these big opera houses, they do it. It's not, but there are also some moments when, you know, they can even do more because, for example, there is one Romanian amazing pianist. His name is Radu Lupu. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, of course.
And Radu Lupu, he's, let's say, he doesn't play very forte. He's a specialist in Mozart, in Beethoven, in all of this stuff. But what he creates from for piano to Mozart forte, you don't breathe to listen to what music he's making, you know.
Yeah,
and
he keeps you like this.
You cannot do it if the orchestra plays louder.
Yes.
And the same is with Muhabbet. There's so many colors in Muhabbet. So many times you have to sing piano. And in Otello the same. In like Era la notte. Era la notte has to be like a sogno. Like it's called the sogno. Yes. It's like Era la notte Cassio dormia. It's like a warm explain.
Also, when you sing Puro si come un angelo.
The same. It's the love in the voice, yes. Which has to and you can always, and I'm not against they playing loud. I mean, they can play loud. When it's forte, play loud. Cover me. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No?
I do my thing.
But we do have to play also piano, and that piano also in the opera has to be the same as when a violin plays. Yes. No Philharmonic orchestra would cover a violin player in a concert. Mm-hmm. The same should be in the opera. That's my opinion.
Yes.
Yes.
But you had, wonderful conductors accompanying you, like Nello Santi and Fabio Luisi.
Yes, of course. No, I mean, I cannot complain. I have the most amazing
conductors
in the world.
They know about the voice.
It's so many amazing conductors. I'm not saying. I'm just, I'm talking in general.
In general, of course.
But in general, I think this tradition is a bit. It's losing.
It's lost.
Its ground a bit. Yeah. It's a bit losing.
And also for the tempi, the conductors take the tempis and doesn't give singers time to breathe sometimes.
I was watching now because our friend, I don't know if you know him, Aris Argyris, an amazing Bariton from Greece.
Of course.
Put yesterday Dio di Giuda with Bruzon on Facebook from Arena di Verona. Yes. And I was thinking when I was listening, who would allow me today to sing that recitativo before the aria so slow as he did it. And when you do it slow, you can do so many colors that you cannot do when you do it fast. I mean, if I do Dio degli ebrei perdono, or Dio degli ebrei perdono. It's such
un altro mondo. It's a different world.
And this is a stupid small example,
Yeah.
But it's so important, I think, that people take the time and leave it to create great music, all the time.
Yes.
This is my opinion.
It's really important. Then you have the intention and you have the colors. Amazing. So I wanted to ask you about your Ezio a little bit, because what's interesting, you opened the season of La Scala with Ezio in Verdi's Otello. And I'm sure that you studied it with your maestro, with your mentor, yes. Giorgio Zancanaro, which was the ex-amazing Ezio who did it with...
The most amazing Ezio for me.
Historical production with Riccardo Muti and Raimi as Attila.
I think nobody sang it like him. I mean, there are many great baritons and there are amazing, so many amazing, examples of it. But still, Zancanaro is so amazing in how he explains you what's happening. Like, it's.
Can you please tell us a little bit of these days that you were talking about Ezio and you were singing probably to each other in Verona?
Well, I have met him, I think, in the 2003 or 2004, and every year I went to him. At the beginning, I used to cover a lot and to make a lot dark sound, like a bit Russian, Romanian style. And he would tell me, you don't hear, the sound is not beautiful as it should be. And it took me like 3-4 years to believe in him. Like really getting to the round sound, but also lots of shyness, like the Pavarotti style. And he's also the way that Zancanaro sings. Well, I always go to him and study every role, and in every role we take each word, and not each word, but like many, many phrases, and we explained, and he explains to me why this word is more important than the other word, then, stuff like that. Then we try to find the best position of the sound, and we are working. So I had this really great luck to had the occasion to work with him, and he opened my world. I mean, I used to think in a way about music, and now I think a bit differently. Well, I talk about opera mostly. I mean, not really classical or symphonical music. But I mean, in the opera world, for me, it's important, like to be as natural as possible. That's what, when you listen to him, you understand each word and each meaning of the phrase and why is he saying. And you don't need actually to see the opera. You understand, even if you don't speak the language, from some point of view, you understand what's happening. I don't know why, how he's doing it. Theater, I don't know how he's doing it and how, but that's what my feeling is. And of course, he has the best, for me, best technique in covering re, mi bemol, mi, fa, fa, diez. So I think he has the most amazing sounds there. Mi bemol, mi, fa, fa, diez.
It's so shining. His
him,
voice and
their perfection, like the perfectness, roundness, and perfect shyness. So it's that's why I love his singing. So that's what we do. I mean, we work, we go, we study, we take it. He shows me what he thinks. I try to do mine. Sometimes I go totally unprepared because I don't have time to learn the music, So I go with, I open the notes and it's, and he starts laughing, and we laugh more than we study. But still, it's, that's it. That's how we do it.
Amazing. The two generations.
Yeah. And
same
of course,
roles.
I think I will know my Ezio is not as good as his Ezio. Not at all. I mean, I think I sang good and I like it, but his Ezio is unbelievable. Like exactly, you take it, is the perfect tempo, is the perfect accent, is the perfect meaning, is the perfect, is perfection in everything. Each sound, when he goes to the fa natural, the way of his saying dagli mortali vertici, the melancholy and still the proudness, because it's about melancholy and proudness. It's just thinking about the tempi passati of the Roman Empire when it was much stronger, and he has no army now. I mean, he has an army, but it's not so strong, because actually in that moment Roma has two armies, the North Army and the South Army, and the South Army is in Africa and the North Army is just what is left. Ezio did one against Attila in the north, but he had an army accumulated from all the Gauls and all the other populations. So the only word that Attila
how amazing
lost.
That you put all these details inside.
Yeah, you have to know something. I don't know a lot, but I love to. Yeah. It's our job, and that's it. I mean, it's a Roman general that actually is not so strong. When people tell me that he's a really powerful one, no, he actually doesn't know what to do. In a way, he's holding his country, because he tries to do a peace treatment in which he's losing more than winning, But he wants to avoid a war that would be anyway lost. So, I mean, what do you do in this situation? It's a complicated situation which he's finding himself. So that's. And of course, I always had high notes, and I always like to sing the high notes. And I think I always listen to the people tell me, well, that stupid tradition, it's not more interesting. So many people tell me that from the opera, and they look like that. I don't think so. Because, if you watch football and there are no goals, it's boring. It doesn't matter how good they play. If they don't make a goal, you can forget about it. And I'm not saying that the high notes are the goals. But how many tenors in the world can sing Puritani as Camarena? But how many people in the world can sing Puritani, Pirata, or whatever, like Camarena? You can count them on fingers. You know what I mean? When those re naturals are coming, and everyone waits for those re natural. You can tell me whatever you want. But if you don't do those re naturals, you can forget about it. So high notes are important.
There are expectations. You did the wonderful si bemol.
Of course, they're not the most important. Yeah.
I remember the pulse of Gregory Kunde, which is one of those tenors who sang Puritani with the high F, and he was an exemplary for all of us, Yeah. And he wrote, this guy sang a si bemol, a huge si bemol. He was the first one who was really enthusiastic about your si bemol.
Oh, really?
At the Cabaletta of Ezio.
When I started singing, I had almost mi natural, fa natural, and I couldn't go higher than fa natural when I started singing. And then I don't know how I found the chest voice alone, like putting the pressure of the air in the chest and not on the vocal cords. And because of that, I could go after that immediately to high A natural, sometimes B flat, si bemolle. But I didn't try to go to high H or C natural because I couldn't. I mean, I tried, but it was cracking, so I couldn't do it. So, you know, now I can go furthermore because I studied a lot this thing. I studied the technique and I studied the freeness of the voice. Yeah, of course, it's not the natural sound because my voice is natural until si bemol. C natural is not as good, and C, even if I have it, is not a good sound. It's there, but it's not the best sound I can find. And that's the difference. If you are a tenor or a baritone, actually, you have to see how your voice answers there from fa, fa, dia, sol, la bemol, la, si bemol, and also before that, mi bemol. You know. Also, Cappuccilli, one of the most amazing baritones, he used to open mi natural. You know, and even fa sometimes. So open the sound is not necessarily a bad thing because you have more power sometimes. You know, so. Yeah.
Pizza, let me ask you, can you continue with us? Or,
of course, yes. We can continue, yeah.
Because in Instagram, we usually do this like 2 hours, but Instagram allows us to do 1 hour. So usually what we do is after an hour, we go away and immediately after 1 minute, if you have to go to the bathroom, you know, if you want to drink something, and then we continue. Because if you want to continue, I'm not going to rush the questions because I have some questions with you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So we have like 5 minutes left, then we close and restart again, okay?
Yeah, I hope I know how to do it, but of course, we do it.
We will, don't worry. So can you please tell me, what is your routine when you are on the day of your performance? What do you do on the day of your performance?
I think for me it's very important to have all the energy possible for the show. Like I don't like, you know, for me it's not a job. I don't like it when I have an interview on the day of, and many colleagues, they do that. And amazing colleagues that go on the stage and do amazing things. I'm not going to say it's a bad thing to do it. But for me, I think I have to have this calm before the show because I always tried it to be special and beautiful and the best I can. So I always sleep a lot, like until if I have a show at 7 o'clock, I'm sure I'm sleeping until 2, 3 o'clock. And then I all the time warm up. Like I wake up, I eat something, of course I make a shower, but all the time doing like.
So also at home before theater?
All the time. And in theater, I never warm up. I warm up at home. And in theater, I go and sing something, but it's not really, I'm already warm up when I'm there because I do mostly mutes. Like, you know, like this stuff of singing. And then I go also on the voice and do some high notes, not too much, and some low notes and some middle, some passaggi. Then I do sing some areas that I think I like to sing them and I do them well normally, like Alla vita che t'arride and stuff, some other stuff, you know, easy stuff. And yeah, that's how I do it. And I eat not much. Lately, I understood that I have to eat much less before a show because like this, I don't need to go to the bathroom during the show and I don't need to, it's important, you know, it took me so many years to understand
There are long operas,
so many years it took me to understand this. And when you have some performance, when you are like 80% of the time on the stage, you really can't go to the bathroom. So you need to be there all the time. So, you know, and yeah, and also it helps because you have more energy if you eat less, like if you don't, you know, and yeah, I warm a lot, then I go to the opera house and I'll wait for the show. That's what I do. But I don't do anything in the morning. So I go to sleep at about 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning and I sleep until 2, 3, 4 o'clock. It depends at what hour the show starts. If it starts at 6, it's around 4 hours before the show I wake up and I sing all the time.
Okay.
Like, but easy, you know, never to, because the thing is, I think it's important to be warmed up. And why? I do not warm up to sing loud. I do not warm up I warm up to control my voice. Like when I go on the stage, I can do whatever I want with my voice. If I need to sing a piano on the high notes, I can do it. And you cannot do it if you're not warm up. I mean, you can do it, but it might not come out, you know? So that's
you want the best of yourself, a lot of freedom.
Exactly. That's what I do.
Kitsa, let's go now, and
come back
if you need a moment to drink, to do something.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
okay.
here. I don't go anywhere. I just have water here, and you tell me how we
Let
go.
me tell this in Turkish to my friends.
Yes.
No? Şimdi kapatalım. Tekrar hemen burada olacağız. Now we go, and then we're going to be
How
here
do you
with...
say I love you? I forgot about it.
I love you. Seni seviyorum.
Seni seviyorum.
Yeah. Pizza. Grandissimo. Me too, my friend. So, ciao.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Okay. Gizza, ti ho mandato una richiesta, puoi accettarla? Eccoti.
Eccoci.
Amico.
Eccoci.
Ecco.
Siamo in due adesso.
I have some toys for you, you know.
Okay.
So you have to keep Yoda with you because you will need
here.
Yoda.
My master is here with me.
At the last, 10 minutes, I have a Star Wars quiz for you, and
Right.
it's really hard.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's really hard.
I won't know it for sure.
No, but
I used to
you are
know
the
everything.
master. No, it's just some funny jokes.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
So, Gitza, please tell me about your transition, if there were a transition in going into Western repertory. You started with Don Giovanni, then you started with Bel Canto, and then now we know you as a Verdi singer mostly, And was it always a passion for you, Verdi in repertoire, or people guided you into this repertoire?
I've always sung Verdi since when I started to sing, because when I was, as I told you, when I was 16, 17 years old, when I was in 93, my brother sang the Simone Boccanegra from Covent Garden, and it was live in radio in Romania. So when I listened to that, I always knew that I would have loved to sing that role, but of course I had no idea in that moment that I would ever do it or something, But since you have to understand, I started singing at 17 years old. At 18, I was in a choir, an amateur choir, and we went to a competition of amateur choirs in England. And there was also a soloist competition for amateurs. Before I went into I even have the video of that. Before I entered in the Academy of Music, I sang in that competition, and what do you think I sang? I sang the prologue from Pagliacci.
Okay.
And I was 18 years old, so I was Al Paradis the Boy already there. So I always sing whatever I wanted to sing. I never listened to anyone, what should I do and what should I, from this point of view, So Well, but it's not nearly what it should be. It was a
It worked for you,
but it was funny. And yeah, well, in 2002 I went. Since 2002 and until 2015, I was the first baritone in the Opera of Hamburg, Fest opera singer, and there I sang many Verdi roles. Like from the first year, I had to jump in Don Carlo in French. You know, they called me at 5 o'clock. Can you sing at 5 o'clock, please, Don Carlo? And I only did some rehearsals. I didn't really do anything. No stage rehearsal, nothing. But,
was it a debut?
Yeah, it was a debut in French. The only good things about it is that I knew the role by heart, so I could sing it. And I went, I sang it, I did the production, and everything was fine. But I started already with Don Carlos when I was, in 2002, I don't know how old I was, 25, 26, I don't remember exactly now. 27 maybe, but I don't think so. I'm born in 76, so yeah.
So you always did it.
26
you always
years
did
old.
Verdi.
Yeah, I always did Verdi, and I always found myself very good in Verdi because Verdi wrote a bit higher than bel canto for baritons. In the bariton world, opposite to the tenors. The tenors in bel canto have higher to sing, like Pirata, Puritani, all of those stuff. In the baritons in Pirata has to sing very low, actually. And also Lucia, the bariton, is low. In like most of the bel canto bariton is a bit low.
Yeah, also Riccardo is quite low. You know, it's not high as Verdi.
Yes, they used to sing a lot of. I mean, Verdi. No, I mean the bel canto composers. They had mostly bass baritons, not really baritons for the roles. You know, but yeah. I always sang it, and then I started in the first year. I sang Madama Butterfly already in Hamburg, and I sang Don Carlo, and then I sang shortly after I sang Ballo in Maschera, and then I sang Ford in Falstaff, and some other Verdi roles. So I always sang also Verdi. You know.
Now you are doing also some French Verdi, you know, in
French,
München with Verba conducting.
Yes, French. Yes, I did French Don Carlo. I did a lot. I did in Vienna a lot of productions.
What's the difference
between the French Verdi and the Italian Verdi?
In general, in French and Italian singing, and in French and Italian, you know, I'm not talking about the Don Carlos and Don Carlo in
French. Okay.
In general, I'm in general.
Well, the thing is, you have to. For me, as I told you, and one of the best examples in the world is one singer that I love, Samuel Remy. Samuel Remy sang Barbe Bleue, how do you call it? The Castle of a Bluebird in Hungarian. In Hungarian, yes, Bartok. And he sang it perfectly. His Hungarian is perfect. And I mean, for me, it's always important in every language you sing to try to learn that language for a native from that country. Like if you learn French, you have to go study with a French pianist. If you go Italian, you have to study with Italian pianists. English with English pianists, of course, and go on. Russians with Russians. And always when you do that, you try to, the most important thing is, like if I tell you "te iubesc," which means, how do you say I love you? I forgot how to say.
Seni seviyorum.
Seni seviyorum, no? How to say?
Yes.
If you tell these words in Turkish, they always sound stronger in your heart than if you tell it in English. Don't they? In your native language, of course. To me myself also. If I say these words in Romanian language, they will be always a bit more special for me than if I say it in English or in French. And the same is for everyone from that country. So it's very important as an opera singer to try to sing as good in every language as a native of that country. So that's our work. I mean, find somebody and go study with him French, go study with him Italian. And when you do that, of course, it's impossible. For me, my French is okay, but it's not perfect. I mean, it's good. Some of them say that it's really good. Some of them say that it's just good. Some friends of mine that can do it better say also that it's good, but not amazing. So you try to do your best. And of course, it's a problem with all these vowels. Every vowel has another position. So you have to try to find all these when you sing in French. And the same is if you sing in German or if you sing in Italian, you know. and to
Does it
understand
trouble
the
you?
legato. Well, if I study a lot, no. But the problem is I don't have so much. Now we have time, but when I sing, like going from a contract to the other, you don't have the time and then to do it. I mean, you do have, because then it means I have rehearsal from 10 to 1 and from 5 to 8. And from 2 to 4, I study French. So that means from 10 to 8, you study. Yes, you have the time, but still sometimes there's a limit in which you can go always, you know, like
but for you, technically
get.
speaking, they're always in the same place that you told me in the beginning.
For me, there's no difference. I would never think that you have to sing different in French. No, I think you have one voice, and as I said, you have to use that voice in everything that you do. Just have to find the right vowels and the right positions, which are very close to the other languages. They are not the same, but they're close. You know. Like some friend of mine told me that he used to sing in French, and he said, "Yeah, fantastico, this Bariton, but peccato il suo francese," what the French wrote about him, you know. So, and then he never sang in French anymore. You have to try always your best, and as I said, study with a French guy, and then try to get the best positions all the time. Like that's a lot of hard work behind it. You know it, no?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
In German, the same. I mean, if you want to get to the highest level, it's a lot of hard work that people don't see.
A lot of coachings and a lot of trying.
That's what you do. And I think there's no difference. I think there's no difference. Also, if you sing in French, you still have to put the best position possible. You know, understand the words like a French. You know? It's
really hard. They are really picky. The last role that I did was in French. It was in Geneva,
yes.
and my Ö's, because the Turkish Ö's are quite close.
Yes.
You know, courage.
They need it a bit more open.
Yeah, and it's more close to a vertical A. It's like courage. So
courage.
Yeah. When we were, and Maestro Minkowski was really picky about it, and
they have to be. They have to be. You have to do the best you can.
And I went to him, please, Maestro, tell me everything, because it's a French-speaking country, and it was special.
I think this is the most beautiful side of our job. I mean, working with these amazing maestros, Muti or Santi, or you know, that's so interesting to try to do what they want and how they explain something sometimes. And sometimes it's really difficult, and you are in a difficult position. But I think that's the part that I mostly love about my job, working. You know, the rehearsal time. I think it's the most.
Rehearsal is the best. Yeah.
The shows also, but I mean the rehearsal time. It's so beautiful.
When you create, you know, when you make decisions and learn. So before letting you go, now I have to ask you some really important questions, my friend. You know, it's really important. So.
I'm in big shit. Oh, whoa, I have to bring my lightsaber. Wait. I'm coming back. You wait for me. I hear you. You hear me?
I hear you too, yes.
Okay. I bring you my lightsaber too.
Oh my God. I hear your lightsaber. Oh my God. Let's do this.
The red one.
Just wait. Keep the swords down, and we open them when I say, "Welcome, young Skywalker. I've been expecting you." And we start with the music, okay?
Okay.
Welcome, young Skywalker. I've been expecting you.
We have the red saber. It's normally I should do it. Because I'm Vader, I have the red saber.
But this is Anakin. This is Anakin Skywalker, so it's okay. Which one is that? It's Darth Wader.
This one is Darth Vader.
So we are the same.
Yes.
We are the same people. Okay. So
I can use the look one. I have the look one also.
Okay. Let's do father and son. So my friend, which one has the most amazing breathing technique? Darth Wader or Chewbacca?
Oh my God. I think I should say Darth Vader because his lungs are, you know.
Which one is the bass? Darth Wader or Yoda?
Of course, Darth Vader.
Okay.
You know that. James Earl Jones.
What a great actor that guy is. A voice actor. So which one sings with a knodled sound, you know?
Yeah, well, Yoda, no?
Yoda or Obi-Wan?
Yoda. Like,
so,
my young Padawan.
My young Padawan.
I can do it like
with knodle, I do. So which one's voice is in the throat? Chewbacca or Han Solo?
Han Solo. No, I'm joking. Chewbacca.
Amazing.
I know.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me, my friend.
With my pleasure, Mert.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Time.
I hope to see you soon. I will be in Munich in 20 days, 1 month. So maybe we can do a social distancing passeggiata together on the park.
With pleasure.
Okay. Please say hi. Thank you for joining us.
With my pleasure.
We are going to publish this and people are going to join and watch this, if it's okay for you.
Of course.
Okay. Thank you, Gitsa. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye. Herkese teşekkürler. Görüşmek üzere.